service. Ever since I got into this business decades ago, in fact, I fired my first client. I fired him because I did not expect him to answer his own phone. I take it back, he was my second client. My second client, well, let me even go back further than that. Okay, how did I get started in this? Was pretty simple to explain. I have been doing pay-per-click advertising on Google before Google started. I've literally spent hundreds of thousands of dollars of my own and millions of other people's money to build websites and run pay-per-click campaigns that converted. The problem is you've got to be able to answer the phones and answer them correctly. I don't mean just saying, hey, hello, Joe's Plumbing. You've got to answer it with some authority and I'm searching for the word conviction. And in this day of robocalls every 2 seconds, it's hard to get fired up to answer the phones. But it's always been impossible to really answer the phones. If you're a contractor, 1 or 2, 3 guys, you can't really afford to be hiring a person to answer your phones, at least not one that's very dependable. And so now that AI has built these tools, and I have learned how to master many of them, we can now build an AI answering service that costs pennies a day, $1 a day, $2 a day. What are you willing to pay? All right, let's say it's even $3 or $4 a day. That's pretty darn cheap to have someone answering your phone. So it's pretty hard to answer your phone because that means you've got to commit to hiring a person. And I always told people the first thing you need to do is hire an answering person to answer your phones, because you're answering the call while you're in the middle of something. 2/3 of the time you're expecting it to be a robocall. Well, 100% of the time you're expecting it to be a robocall. And then it turns out that it's actually a real client, and your voice and inflections are not prepared for that. You're at the top of the ladder. You don't have a pen and paper. You don't have access to your calendar. You don't have the ability to answer the call correctly, and therefore book the call. And if you want to learn one philosophy from me, it's first book the call, then we'll worry about the details later. I'll explain more of that in this video probably, but definitely in other videos, because with real answering services and even with AI answering services, every call isn't going to go 100%. I mean, I know that you've never had a call center, but I've had the luxury of listening, because I run pay-per-click for larger companies. I've had the benefit of listening in to how a professional call center answers their phones. And they don't get it right all the time. They miss it probably 20-30% of the time, and they're pros. Picture this, a room full of people whose only job 24/7 is to answer the phones for heating and air conditioning, plumbing, and electrical service. I've been in those rooms, I've seen the setups, and I've listened to the calls. And I can tell you beyond any shadow of doubt, there's even a company out there that goes into listening to the calls and scoring them, not on whether it was really a business opportunity, but just scoring them on how they were handled. I was listening to a conference called a podcast the other day where there's a whole company that will come in and listen to all your calls for you and then go back in and retrain your CSRs to answer the phones. Well, before I go too far, I don't need to dwell on that forever, but let me tell y'all, and I'm talking y'all, meaning contractors, 2 or 3 guys, don't need to be hiring a person to answer your phone anymore. I'm telling you, the big guys are getting rid of their CSRs too. But you don't have to worry about that anymore, because Gracie will answer your phone for you. She will get all the pertinent information, and she will forward the phone call if that's what you want. She will also, and it's really it, I know what I'm saying, it will also answer the phones for you, and it can tell the difference between business hours and after hours. It knows exactly what services you offer, and it can most of the time handle any kind of objections. So for instance, the other day I had one, and you're going to run into objections about AIs answering phones with older people. Younger people kind of play the game, but older people, can I talk to a real person? Well, I'll call back later when there's real people. And I had my AI the other day saved the call. Well, ma'am, what did you call? What kind of help did you need? And saved that call, wound up making an appointment for them. And so there's a lot to AI that you're going to benefit from, and a lot more coming. But take advantage of it today. Now, I run a site called thisisgracie.com, and you spell Gracie with an I-E. Well, you can see it there on the screen. And I hope you will take a look at ours, but it doesn't matter. You need to jump on somebody's one way or the other. AI answering is here to stay. It's here to get bigger, and it's here to make you more successful.